Hello and welcome to our session on Future Ready Skills. I'm Alexa Joyce. I'm the Future Ready Skills Director for Europe, Middle East and Africa, and I've been working across the education system for the past 20 years in primary, secondary and higher education in more than 100 countries across the world. I want to share some of my thoughts and experience with you today around how we can develop students' future ready skills and how Microsoft can help you and your institutions to create future ready skills programs for your students. So right now we're still in the middle of a COVID crisis. We know that only 1 in 3 students is going back to school and many students are still working at distance or in hybrid mode. And so the issue of their digital skills has become more and more important because they need those skills to help them learn. But at the same time, there's a really tight economy, a really tight situation coming on the job market for those students as they graduate. And so that means there's increased demands on students in terms of their skill sets, their ability to navigate and to build their competences in a way that's going to help them succeed in the job market. So we've talked in so many forums about students' 21st century skills of character, communication, creativity, and so on. And these remain foundational skills. But we're also seeing, as we get into an evolving economy, an evolving world, that there's more and more layers of competence and skills which are added to that. So being able to work interculturally, being able to think computationally and build digital solutions, being caring and engaging with colleagues and friends with empathy. And at the same time, being a risk taker, being entrepreneurial, building long-term relationships that enable them to succeed, and to reflect on progress and process so that as students build out their new approaches and new strategies in the workplace, that they can take stock of what they've done, learn from it, iterate, and continue to improve. So to do all of that is a huge challenge for the education system because we're not leaving behind all of the traditional content knowledge, but we want to build these skill sets across the students' body as they go through the education system too. And to do that, we need to make sure that learning is meaningful, that it's made for everyone, that it's really inclusive, but also that it's motivating, especially when we're in a difficult situation like today where many students may be spending a big part of their day behind a screen. At the same time, we're seeing some really interesting workplace trends that students are going to face as they graduate from university. Firstly is that there's a scarcity of technical talent. Even before the crisis, there were not enough IT graduates available to satisfy market demands. And now that COVID has hit, businesses are transforming into more digital businesses at an ever-increasing rate. So getting that right kind of talent out there is going to be super important. And so it's very important for today's students and tomorrow's graduates to be able to blend together their subject knowledge together with IT and technical knowledge. It's going to make them much more successful when they graduate from school. We also are aware that in the workplace, there's much bigger focus on diversity and inclusion. Those companies which have more diverse boards and more diverse workforces are the ones which are more successful on the stock market. We see that diversity and inclusion brings an additional perspective to how we build products. It brings a new perspective to how services might be offered. And so more and more businesses are taking that as a key part of the way that they develop their workforce. We're seeing much more fluid and flexible strategies for hiring talent, whether it's through the gig economy. Many young people, particularly those specialized in areas like graphic design or computer game design, are regularly building up portfolio careers where they engage in multiple projects over time. And at the same time, with the rise of AI and increasing automation of the workplace, there's an erosion of those jobs which required lower cognitive skills, that required repetitive behavior, and an increase in the types of job that require very high order thinking, creativity, as well as those technical skills coming together. What we see from the private sector side at Microsoft, but also more broadly in the world of industry, is that creating this momentum for future ready skills is impossible to do alone. We need to be building stronger partnerships between industry players, between educational institutions, between governments, to make sure that we can create these types of long-term sustainable approaches to skills development to make our students successful tomorrow. And at Microsoft, we've developed a whole suite of tools and programs to support students from primary all the way through higher education. So laying the foundation in primary and secondary education so that students moving into university are ready to use digital tools for learning, that they're able to be productive with tools like Office and Teams as part of their learning process. And as they get into university, to get them much more hands-on with employment job-ready tools like Azure, our cloud service, or like Github, the place where developers go to collaborate around code. So all of this has to be underpinned by putting the student at the center, helping them reach their full potential, help them find purpose, giving them a motivating experience of STEM and tech that helps them orient themselves in the world. And when we think about this issue of skills, we see skills as being part of a larger scale education transformation across education institutions. We see skills as landing firmly within the area of teaching and learning, but what we can offer in terms of skills experiences at higher education institutions is going to depend on what kind of technical infrastructure is available, what kind of collaborative learning platform are educators using. All of these types of different elements of the framework can then have an impact also on the skills approach, and vice versa. Having really skilled both students but also educators, researchers and administrators can help institutions to make much better use of the technology investments that they're making. One of the biggest challenges we see right now as students are working remotely or under lockdown is that there is a risk of learning becoming too isolated. There's a ton of research which shows that students learn better socially, and we've seen that they also suffer from video fatigue. When we're constantly in a small box, we know that it can be challenging for people to learn from each other and to have that social glue that is so important for learning effectively. And so in our team of engineers back in headquarters, they've done a lot of research into how to address this, and we've launched Teams Together mode, which you can see here, where we see that all of the participants, instead of being locked in the box, are much more like arranged as they would be in a real lecture hall in a university. And it's really exciting to see how the dynamic changes in a training or a learning session when you switch on Teams Together mode. People start to reach out to each other, to try to touch each other and become much more human. So it introduces those kind of cognitive social breaks, which are so important to enable us to still absorb the learning content that we're trying to engage with during an online session. What we want to see in institutions and what we think is effective from the research that we've done is building a learning culture. So starting off with young students, getting them excited about computational thinking and STEM so that they're open to those types of careers as they go through the education system. As students get older into upper secondary and into higher education, it becomes more and more important to include employability ready content alongside traditional academic content for students. So certifications, opportunity to use cutting edge tools, all of this is going to help students stand out when they get onto the job market. And finally, we work closely with institutions to evolve the curriculum and the tools used to enable effective teaching and learning and skills development so that institutional staff really feel ready to be able to develop student skills in an ongoing way. So as I mentioned, we've got a ton of fantastic solutions that can help across the education system to do that. And we're looking to build up a fruitful ecosystem that reinforces itself across the institution. So whether it's through providing those employability opportunities for students, whether it's through professional development for educators, or whether it's through upskilling IT staff within institutions, bringing these together is a way to have a really impactful result across an institution in terms of evolving the skill set, both of the students, but also of the institution more broadly. So when we think about what are the skills that we want to develop within higher education, well, we see these modern skills, the 21st century skills, as foundational, and they have to be there and continue to be reinforced even in university, as well as digital literacy and productivity, which are basic skills that students need to interact in today's society. Then as they go up the level in terms of technical complexity and also technical specialization, we introduce text-based programming and the fundamentals of computer science, getting hands-on with the cloud, as well as issues like technology ethics, AI ethics and data, and design thinking. And on top of this, once we've gone through the fundamentals pathway, we also offer role-based skill programs and certifications, which help students to become really the AI engineers of tomorrow, the data wranglers of tomorrow, all of those really cutting edge job roles, which are so important on the job market, but also technology focused specializations in areas like finance and marketing, because increasingly technology is not just something that needs to be mastered in the area of computer science, but needs to be embedded across all kinds of courses like business, biological science, marketing, graphic design. Technology is becoming important in every single sector. And all of these skill sets translate into programs that we offer. From a higher education standpoint, we've got a whole suite of really fantastic tools to help you underpin the student learning experience, which I'm going to take you through during this presentation. So we can summarize the tools and programs that we offer, firstly as educator materials for teaching technology as part of the curriculum, and then self-directed and self-paced learning supplemented by educator-facing materials that you can use to deepen technical skill. We offer experiential and hands-on learning experiences through Azure in Education and Github platform, and we accredit what students and educators have learned through industry-recognized credentials. So I'm going to dive into some of these examples right now and take you through what you have to make the most of. So first, Microsoft Imagine Academy. This is a program available for institutions across the globe. It has introductory content for computer science, IT infrastructure in the cloud, data science, but also productivity. So this is where your students are going to become Excel masters or PowerPoint specialists, so that they can underpin their main learning tracks with these very employment ready and productivity skills that are going to help them to succeed. But also the computer science content will set them up really well for then segueing into fundamentals pathways, which get them closer to professional level certifications. In terms of the self-paced and self-directed learning, first of all, we are acutely aware that many educators in higher education institutions are looking to boost their digital skills, and we've increased the amount of content available on the Microsoft Educator Center for Higher Education. So you'll find content there around using Teams for education, for instance, so that you can infuse technology in the way that you're teaching your students across the curriculum. And those courses allow you to accumulate points. You can take additional modules and move your way up to becoming a Microsoft certified educator using that tool. Then if you want to go deeper into technology, and this is a great platform for educators and students in business and computer science, in all kinds of technical fields, engineering. This involves helping students learn about technology and prepare for role-based certification. You've got step-by-step bite-sized tutorials and engaging modules, and lots of learning paths on different topics that can get you up and running with technology. On Learn, you can see that it's a really simple self-serve interface. I can dig into different modules and topics based on the kind of job role that I'm interested in learning about. I can select whether I'm a beginner or an intermediate, so that I can find appropriate content for my level. And then I can start to dig in. And through these different modules, you can see where your progress is, pick up and continue whenever makes sense. And you can also start to use tools like Azure itself and Azure Cloud Shell using a sandbox. So basically what happens is that through the use of video content as well as sandboxes, students and educators can really start to get hands-on with the cloud. And the sandboxes mean that you're not required to use any Azure credit. You don't have to set up a cloud account, but you can have that experience right there in the Microsoft Learn interface. We've also got new entry point for educators for accessing the Microsoft official curriculum for the fundamentals courses. So if you're in a higher education institution or even upper secondary, you can register on the Learn platform as an educator and get access to teaching guides, to PowerPoints, to all kinds of materials that are going to help you integrate some of that content into your own courses. And the Microsoft Learn for Students homepage is where students can get access to really interesting technology resources. So moves from introductory through to some of the more advanced courses. We have focused on providing courses which we know are really motivating for students because they align to technology skills for social good. We know that this is much more inclusive than the typical way that you might learn about computer science. And we've been partnering with world-leading universities to create really fantastic learning paths and supplementing some of those learning paths with online video tutorials available through Learn TV. So please register now. Go and use that Microsoft Learn for Educators resource. We'd love to see how you can use that in your institution and to support you if you wish to dive into getting programmatic support and training to help you implement that in your school and university. So now I want to talk a little bit more about our offering in experiential and hands-on learning. So one of the most important things that we as employers see is that students really need to get an opportunity to get hands-on with the cloud, with machine learning, with algorithms, with all of that tool set, which is really exciting and compelling for them, but is also going to stand them in a really good stead for getting a job once they graduate. So we've got three main offerings: Azure for Students, Azure Dev Tools for Teaching, and Azure Lab Services. And I want to give you a little bit of an overview of what we have then. So for Azure for Students is relevant for higher education institutions. For students under 18, they should be looking for Azure for Students Starter. Those platforms both give access to students to $100 of cloud credit a year, which they can use for hackathon projects or other types of exploration that they want to do in the cloud. Azure Dev Tools for Teaching offers a suite of professional level development tools that you can offer through your university to your students and educators at vastly discounted rates compared to the professional level. Then Azure Lab Services is a great tool for you to create online learning activities, either in computer science or for adopting remote learning scenarios, like for instance, remote examinations. And we also have the AI School, which is an online course embedded in Microsoft Learn that's focused on how AI can be integrated across various industries. And so you have a course for education, for healthcare, for retail, and so on, which you can dig into depending on your course specialization. So I want to give you a little bit more detail on the Azure for Student offer. So it's really easy for your students to get up and running using this tool. They can verify as a student directly on the web platform. All they need is the email address from your institution, and they immediately get access to all of the Azure credit, as well as some customized learning paths that can help them to get up and running in Azure. And so, as I mentioned, great for using in hackathon projects or similar types of short-term activities, or for specific courses that have low to moderate resource demands. Azure Dev Tools for Teaching gives your students access to more than 100 Microsoft developer tools, and they can then get access through your university portal to all of those tools that are going to help them become professional level developers. Finally, the Azure Lab Services that I mentioned before. It's easy for you as faculty to create labs and support classes without IT intervention. This is a great way if you've got resource-constrained students who, are not able to work a long time on the cloud, and you want to provide additional services for them to be able to work with virtual machines and so on. It also means that students can access their learning experience from any location, and also that you as faculty can restrict the level of resourcing and the costs that you're willing to contribute to enable that learning experience. Now, the next key part that I want to move on to is industry recognized credentials. So if you've become experienced in using a lot of these technical tools and courseware that I've just taken through, then the next stage is really to certify, to accredit that students or faculty have achieved a certain skill level within the domain. We have two types of certifications which we make available for education at super low discount costs for education compared to the professional costs. The first set is fundamentals. Fundamentals, we consider the baseline qualifications that can help you to skill up towards industry job roles. They're broad brush, so they can be used in a range of different types of courses, and they don't assume a great deal of prior knowledge. So you can start to dig into some of those courses without having taken necessarily deep programming courses before. As we go up in terms of complexity and difficulty of the qualifications, we move into the role-based. We have 2 levels which reflect levels of difficulty, and these are very focused on specific industry jobs. So whether you're an associate, whether you're an expert, you could be an AI engineer, you could be looking at data, you could be looking at Power Platform, you could be looking at M365 administration, or usage of digital tools for things like finance and marketing. And it's really about assessing technical knowledge to design or implement and manage Microsoft solutions in the workplace. So alongside those, we also have our specific certifications for education at a lower level. So there's the Microsoft Office Specialist, which is the qualification that really attests to being able to use the Office suite proficiently. Technology Associate, which is a great qualification to precede some of the fundamentals, as well as the Microsoft Certified Educator, which is a great certification to offer to faculty or to take as faculty, because it will help you to understand and demonstrate that you have skills for using technology effectively as part of your pedagogy. Then we move into the fundamentals and the role-based that I've just mentioned. So if you wanted to offer some of those fundamentals courses at your school, we can give you access to the certifications and to the exams. We partner together with Certiport, who can help you set up a testing center in your institution. If your institution is still at hybrid or distance mode, we also have an exam from home option so that your students can take the exams at distance. And we're seeing institutions taking different strategies to how they integrate the courseware, either taking a full Microsoft course or integrating certain modules, or creating joint courses which enable the student to graduate with an academic qualification from your institution, as well as an industry certification coming from Microsoft as part of their program. And so you can get access to all of this through the Microsoft Learn institutional program. We also recommend, for those of you who want to get deep in using the Learn content, to make the most of our Learn API. And the API enables you to import Learn content directly into your learning management system so that you can make it easier to construct courses in the way that you wish with your student groups. Another key program that we have that enables hands-on learning and gets students ready for the digital world is Github. Github is where developers work together to collaborate on code and development, and there's a whole set of education tools embedded also in Github that you can make the most of across your institution. And then our final offering, which also includes a number of limited tests and is the LinkedIn Learning. And there we're seeing huge traction in universities, particularly in the UK, who are offering this as add-on courses to their students so that they can take employability related courses in short form alongside their main learning tracks. So you can learn in chunks and build up knowledge over time. There are a huge range of courses, and new courses are being added all the time in many different languages. And if you take the institutional subscription, you can also curate your own content within that environment so that students can see different types of soft skills courses that you might be offering in your institution alongside the ones available through LinkedIn. So what's really exciting about the LinkedIn Learning platform is that it also gives you a lot of insight. It can help you to understand where your students are in terms of learning those soft skills that wrap around the academic courses, and really recommend that as a platform for you to give supplemental content to your students. So I've given you a tour of many different programs and many different options that you have to dig into with your students. We are super excited to be working with institutions across the globe and implementing these programs. If you're not already working with us on some of these and you think this sounds perfect for you and your institution, please reach out to us. We'd love to build a long-term partnership with you to make this opportunity to build future-ready skills available to every single student in your institution. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexa. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our session today. We're here today to discuss طموح program, which is Microsoft Emiratization initiative in the UAE. طموح program came into the picture when the UAE put Emiratization as a top priority. And that the leaders of the country have shared that they are building a knowledge-based economy, which we as Microsoft felt the responsibility to support the UAE in that vision. طموح program mission is to accelerate nationals' employability through trainings, direct employment, and digital skilling program. It is where Microsoft comes and brings in all of the resources that we have here within the region and globally to support the engine of Emiratization and to support the Emiratis become more employable. Under the طموح program, we have 3 pillars that we mainly focus on. And those are learn at Microsoft. And this pillar includes few trainings and opportunities under this program, including the trainee program, the work placement, and the secondment program, which targets employees of government and private sectors. And then we have the second pillar, which is working at Microsoft. And this is through 2 separate programs we have. First is hiring fresh graduates program, hiring fresh graduates into Microsoft through the Microsoft Aspire Experience, which is our fresh graduate program. And the second is our engine to target professional Emiratis with experience in the region. Now, I will hand over to Noura, who leads the operations of the program, to talk more about the target audience and in more specifically about the interns, the internship program that we offer as a part of the طموح program.
Thank you, Hamad, and hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. As my colleague Hamad introduced طموح, it is our Emiratization program launched in 2019. The program aims to hire the best Emiratis in Microsoft, skill them professionally, and help in capacity building. We target Emiratis across so many different groups. We target students and fresh graduates, experienced nationals, startups and entrepreneurs, as well as people of determination. طموح program, as I previously mentioned, started in 2019, and we basically had a number of 20 interns that we enrolled them into the program from universities across United Arab Emirates. And what you see here, the pictures that you see here are the students who joined the program in December, and then the same group went through an onboarding and skilling bootcamp, which took around 1 month, and then they went to the other phase, which is the on-job training. Right now, we are in the process of hiring and interviewing the second batch. So what we basically offer them is a 6 months training course that include on-job training, where they potentially are going to graduate from the program itself in June 2021. After they master all fundamental professional, soft and technical skills. And then after that, obviously, they can begin their career journey. An intern journey starts with them acquiring soft and professional skills. So they have a period of 4 to 5 weeks where they obtain the necessary skills for creativity, innovation, time management. So general skills that help them build their careers, as well as technical certifications. So each individual leaves the program with certifications in Azure Fundamentals, Azure Data Fundamentals, for example, INSEAD Artificial Intelligence Business School, as well as on-job experience. So the trainee leaves Microsoft with a role-based certification. However, the main goal is to convert the interns into full-time employees in Microsoft. What you see in front of you are 4 examples of full-time employees that we hired through the internship program, through طموح internship program. Each one of them is right now working in a different department. As I mentioned previously, we are currently in the process of hiring the next batch. So we do encourage your help so you can disseminate this message to all your students that to encourage them to enroll to the program. We are currently looking for the December and potentially July graduates to apply to the program and then hopefully get an interview with our university recruitment team and then enroll into طموح internship program. The last thing I'd like to mention is طموح Cloud Society, which is an open platform for everybody who is Emirati, basically. Any Emirati individual can log into this platform where they can learn about a specific subject. We have things from AI fundamentals, mobile technologies, a lot of important and a lot of important skilling programs that they can actually obtain a certificates in, and also attend virtual events if they wish to. So this is طموح program in a nutshell. Thank you so much for listening. Please voice any questions that you'd like us to answer. This is obviously is gonna happen with your help into accomplishing the big vision of UAE leaders. And we encourage all the students, all Emirati students, to join the private sector through Microsoft, because we have a lot of great things to offer. Thank you very much.